I'm going to step off the limb. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
On this day, 50 years ago, mankind achieved something amazing when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin first stepped foot on the moon. And now, 50 years later, I had set myself the goal to try and drive there. And I failed. Welcome to a bit of a different episode of Living with a Classic. Today, we're not really in a classic. We're in my 1997 Volvo V70 station wagon. It's my daily driver. And the reason that we're in it, that about 4 years ago, I set myself the goal to try and drive to the moon. Not literally, but that by the time it was 50 years since the moon landing, so today, my goal was to hit 240,000 miles, or about 380,000 kilometers. Sadly, I didn't make it there, but that's not the car's fault. I just didn't have enough time, I guess, to get to the moon. At the moment, I'm at 358,000 kilometers, which is about 222,000 miles. So I'm not quite there. But at the moon's closest position to the Earth, I have made it to the moon. So let's briefly talk about landing on the moon. Besides being really into cars, I love space. Not really the new space travel. I mean, it will be exciting if we go to Mars and all of those things. But the Apollo years of the space race, just getting to the moon, I find that completely fascinating, and I've read almost everything on the subject. And those astronauts, they were just real heroes in my opinion, and real pioneers, because no one really knew if they were going to make it back or not. So on this day, I'd really just like to say thanks to those men and women who sacrificed a lot to get into space and to walk on the moon, because it's something that now, 50 years later, I think we can be extremely proud of. So this almost intergalactic Volvo is a 1997 V70. It's the first year of the V70, which is basically a facelift of the old 850. In my opinion, it looks a lot nicer. It doesn't have as much plastic trim on it as the old one, and it has a bit more of a nicer interior. But underneath, they're basically the same car. They have the same engine. This one is the 2.5 liter inline 5-cylinder. It's turbocharged, and it's mounted to an automatic gearbox, which shifts really nicely. It's very well spec'd for being a 1997 car. It has a full leather interior, dual zone climate control, a CD player, CD changer, and a cassette player, heated seats, basically everything you could want in a really comfortable long distance car. And that's what this car does really well. It is one of the ultimate road trip cars, because you can fit all your friends or your whole family and all your luggage in it. It's huge for being a station wagon, and it cruises really well at highway speeds and a lot faster if you want so as well, because with that turbo, even though it's not a massive turbo, it does have quite a kick, this car, for being a massive station wagon. I bought this car about 5 years ago, and then it had about 120,000 miles on it, and it looked, in my opinion, basically brand new. And from a couple feet away, it still looks really nice. It has, of course, some parking dings on it, some scrapes, but has no real rust. The seats are in great condition. Only the driver's seat has some slight wear on it, but there are no rips or tears anywhere in the interior. Every single thing on the car still works like it did when I bought it. In terms of maintenance, just getting these miles, I haven't done anything special. I've changed the oil when you're supposed to. I've changed the transmission fluid a few times. Basically, changed brake rotors and brake pads just when they wore out. I've only had really one big breakdown. I hit a giant pothole and it broke one of the axles on the car. So that wasn't really the car's fault. I mean, the axle was worn out, so I had plans on replacing them anyway. So I replaced both sides when one of them broke. And that's the only time this thing has had to be on a tow truck. Other than that, I had a leaky radiator that I replaced, and I've gone through just regular maintenance. The PCV system on these Volvos, it has to be cleaned out and changed every, I don't believe it's every 50,000 miles or 30,000 miles. Anyways, I've done that, and I've done the timing belt twice on this car. During all these miles, I've actually gotten a bit of an emotional attachment to the car, which I never thought I would, because especially where I live here in Sweden, I mean, these cars are so common. Basically, almost everyone that you know has had one, or you know someone that has had one. My wife has had one. I remember when these came out, everyone had them. So when I got this one, I kind of felt like a kid again, because especially if I was sitting in the back, that everyone knew some parent that had a Volvo wagon, and especially this model. But I've been through a lot with this car. The first time my wife and I went out to the movies, we were in this car. I picked up my wife and daughter from the hospital in this car. We've been on vacations in it. We've had the whole family in here and 5 dogs in the back. We've been to a lot of places and a lot of road trips in this car. So at this moment, I don't think I have the heart to sell it. I thought about it a few times. I've actually had an ad out for the car once. I'm really glad I didn't sell it, because it's been an adventure driving all these miles in this car. So what will I do now that I've failed to drive to the moon? Well, I haven't really failed, because the car's still working. It's driving perfectly fine. So I'm going to continue on my goal to drive to the moon. And when I get there, I'll make an update on the channel, and I'll do something a little extra special to the car when it's reached the moon. If you like this video, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. And why not subscribe while you're at it? I put out new videos every week on different car related items. So you can go to my channel below and check out some of my other videos on various different cars. Let me know in the comments below, what's the furthest you've driven in a car? Have you driven to the moon? Have you driven further, maybe to the moon and back? How far have you gone in your car? I'd love to get some feedback and see if there are other people out there with really high mileage cars. Until next time, I'm Adam, and this was a little bit different, Living with a Classic. I'll see you soon.